Okay, you join us as I walk into the Bentley Heath Community Centre here on a Friday morning. Now, Friday morning in Bentley Heath Community Centre from about 9:30 till 11:30, we have the Bentley Heath Country Market. Now, it is absolutely beautifully presented in here. Walking straight through into the atrium, you see some flowers. There's a very good system. You take a card, anything you want to buy, they jot down on the card, and then you just pay at the end. And would you believe they have card payment facilities here in the community centre? So the country market, as you come through, I know we're talking about food and drink today, so let's head down to the food and drink areas. There's lots of knitted crafts, cards, greetings cards and things along those lines as well, but we are here for the food and drink. Now, possibly 2/3 of this market is food and drink. So as you come down, there are homemade cookies, pies, everything, meat dishes. And as you come through, everything is beautifully labelled. I'm going to look at some homemade cakes here as well that are fantastically packaged. Everything is very, very high quality. In terms of the number of people, we're here just after the opening, so on the way up to 9:45, and the community centre is absolutely packed. People having coffee, sitting down, having a chat. But let's start at this end. Right, lemon curd, marmalades, jams, right through, and they're, again, beautifully packaged. The hives are in the Packington Estate, Hampton in Arden, Borsal Common, Catherine de Barnes, and on the Kenilworth Road. So we are getting some really local produce here at the Bentley Heath Country Market. And like I say, Fridays 9:30, you can start having coffees and cookies from about 9 o'clock. So if you are on the Bentley Heath Road, the main road, Widney Lane, going through, we can come in from about 9 o'clock for coffees and take it from there. I'm going to try and get some interviews and have some chats with some of these food producers, and we can see how it all works here. We'll be back in half a second. Right, we're joined now by the market manager, a lady called Jenny, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about what's been going on. But firstly, I'd like to talk to Linda. Now, Linda, what is your area of this market that you work on?
Well, I make savoury items, a range of different things. And some things I make almost every week because they're so popular, but I like to do different things each week as well. So today I will have done some cottage pie because I know those sell well, but Valentine's Day is coming up, so I've done some duck à l'orange, so somebody might like to treat their partner to something a bit special.
Wonderful. And how long have you been making things for this particular market?
I've been making them for 10 years now, yes.
10 years. Has it always been in this venue?
No, it started off in the church, in a church hall. I think it was for the Catholic school's church hall. So it's been going for 40 years.
Wow. So, Jenny, you are the market manager here, so you are the overseer, yes. And presumably, do you produce some products and things like that?
I also produce savouries, yes. I do pies and lasagnas and things like that. But the market manager's role is to go around and make sure that everything's as it should be. All the food producers have food hygiene certificates, and they work in domestic kitchens. But we all adhere to the rules of food hygiene every week, hopefully.
All being well.
So customers can be absolutely certain that everything is just as it should be.
Brilliant stuff. And Linda was saying this used to be a WI market.
It had, and the WI had some problem with the Charities Commission, that they weren't able anymore to run their market, so they sold them off to Country Markets Limited. It's actually a cooperative of people that come together to do things. So we have the craft section, where there are cards and gifts for people and that sort of thing. And then the foods, where there's cakes and savouries, and then plants as well.
Excellent stuff. There's knitted and textiles towards one end as well, isn't there?
There is, and there's jewellery as well. And then during the season we have lots of lovely plants and vegetables, but of course it's not really the time of year for
exactly. And if you're listening to this podcast or this this presentation today, the weather has unfortunately let us down, but that's not stopped people coming in, has it?
We have a very loyal clientele that come every week regardless of the weather. They will slosh in and they will slide in if it's necessary. And yeah, they're fine. And then we have new people most weeks that pop in. We didn't mention the tea and coffee.
Well, I mentioned in my introduction that from about 9 o'clock you can have some coffee and cookies just to warm up and get ready.
Yeah.
And then the market is run from 9:30 until about 11:30?
That's right, yes it is.
Every Friday.
Unless it happens to be Christmas Day.
That's excellent stuff. And from this, Linda, are they the same traders every week? Because the system here is quite different. You don't actually give the money to each individual trader, do you?
No, that's right. As Jenny said, we're a cooperative. We label our goods and we write on a card what people have bought so that at the end of the day they pay at the end for all of their purchases rather than having to pay for individual things. And then the money's divvied out at the end of the month to the producers.
Excellent stuff. And sorry to interrupt you, but I've also noticed that you have card payment facilities here as well.
We do, yes. So if you spend more than £10, which is not difficult to do, then you can pay by card.
Fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple more chats with a few more people, and then we're going to wander around, and I'm going to purchase some of these savouries from both Jenny and Linda's stall, and I'll give my review in a second for the Solihull Food and Drink Show. We'll be right back. Right, now we are joined here in Bentley Heath Market by a lady called Karen. Now, Karen has a few strings to her bow, as it were, because not only does she do some baking and create some wonderful products for the market, she also does some crafts. Is that right, Karen? What have you been working on?
Well, I like to make things with either upcycling or fabrics I've got in my big fabric stash, which I do bunting and bags and little zip purses, anything that I can use my fabric for.
Excellent. But bearing in mind we're in a food and drink zone at the moment, so tell me a little bit about what you've been doing for the food and drink side.
Well, I like to bake things like quiches. I've been doing some quiches today and also some sausage rolls. But I've also done something new today. I've done some vegetable and bean sort of casserole-y things, because I think in January, February, everybody's perhaps trying to be a little bit more healthy. And
not only that, the weather has taken a turn, hasn't it, as well?
I also do soups, yes, for this time of year.
Excellent stuff. So how long have you been producing for this market?
Probably about 4 or 5 years now, yeah.
And have you seen the declines and the increases?
Well, we've tried to sort of embrace changes with social media and everything, because obviously we've got to get out there and tell people about us. But we do have to keep attracting new customers, because obviously we have a lot of elderly sort of customers, and we need to bring in young people to the market if possible.
So using different forms of social media, different communication outlets, we need to let people know that on a Friday between 9:30 and 11:30, Bentley Heath has a fantastic little market here, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yes. We're on Instagram and Facebook, etc., so Twitter, so we're out there.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Karen. Another lady that's just joined us to have a chat today. Now, this takes me back to my WI roots, as it were, because Kate has joined us, and you are an absolute expert in preserves. Is that right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what you've been making and what you've been bringing to the market. How long have you been bringing to this market now?
I've been involved with the market for nearly 15 years now, which is a long time. The reason I got involved is that we grow a lot of soft fruit in the garden, and it's a way of using the fruit to make preserves. So most of the preserves I make is from stuff grown, locally in my garden.
Wow, that they're the sort of products that have no travel miles, and they're bringing here, and you're giving back to the community. And you've been doing this for 15 years. What sort of trends have you been seeing then, Kate? What's good? In your garden, what goes quick?
I think I think sale of preserves has slowed down a little bit because people are much more sugar conscious now, and all preserves have sugar in them. That's just the way it is. So yes, I think it's still there. People still buy preserves. Maybe they prefer to have a tastier homemade chutney or jam, which will go a lot further than possibly a shop-bought one, which is, doesn't have the same flavour, really.
It's also mass-produced as well, isn't it? Looking along, I've already read out that some of the honeys are produced from hives that are incredibly local to us and things like that. Which part of the market, if you come and visit this market, it's a very large U-shape setup with some tables down one side for teas and coffee, so people are having some social time and having a chat with all their friends. Which part of the market is yours, Kate?
Well, we don't have individual stalls, so there's probably about 5 or 6 of us that do preserves, and so all the preserves are put together, and like all the baking is put together, the sweet stuff and the baking, but...
Okay, so it's just a wander round, see which one you like the look of, and take it from there. Thank you very much for joining us, Kate, and we'll be right back with some more interviews, and like I say, I'm going to go and start buying some of these products and seeing what they taste like. Right then, our last guest today from the market is a lovely lady called Debbie. Debbie's just wandered up to where we're sitting here in the market to tell us all about her baking exploits. So, Debbie, how long have you been baking for this particular market?
I've been baking for about 5 years. Done it since I've retired.
No. Wonderful stuff. Listen, some of the cakes are absolutely flying out of this market at the moment, and we're just looking down, and one of your cakes is actually just being bought. Tell us a little bit about that cake.
Well, I make something called a Bakewell cake. I came across this in a little coffee shop in Lincolnshire whilst on holiday. I loved it so much. I did look for a recipe. There wasn't one, so I've created a recipe. And it's a good seller here, and it is raw. I have to admit, it is tasty, and I actually have to make it when I go to Lincolnshire for friends.
Excellent stuff, and I can see one just wandering out with a customer here. And so you obviously you bake some cakes every Friday for this particular market. What's your current favourite? Do you think to yourself, I like that one?
I do a mocha cake, which is a chocolate cake with some coffee in it as part of the mixture, chocolate icing and coffee icing. I bake because I find it terribly relaxing, and I've just started doing tea bread. My husband was ill in the summer, and he can't have cake, but he can have tea bread because it's fat-free. So I have to do at least one a week. They don't. They're a keeper. They're a cake that keeps for about 2 to 3 weeks. But they don't last that long in our house, I'm afraid.
That's great stuff. Right, I'm going to wander round, Debbie. I'm going to see what I can find and have a look and have a go with some of these foods and things like that. But is this a good normal turnout for a Friday, even though the weather's let us down a bit? Is this good?
It's about an average turnout for us on a Friday. We have been busier, but we do regular tastings throughout the year. So I think it's in next Friday. It's soon. It's marmalade tasting. Then we've got half-term activities. If we bring a new cake to market, we do sometimes have samples for customers to try, and that's very popular.
I bet.
And another popular thing in the market is selling loose cakes, so that customers can have like 2 egg custards and 1 cupcake, or I'll have 3 slices of flapjack instead of buying a packet. That's fairly recent, and it's really popular.
Excellent. Right, I'm going to wander around now, and I'm going to see what I like the look of, and I just really do urge you, for myself, take it back to the studio. I really do urge you on a Friday morning from 9:30, so 9 o'clock for drinks, but 9:30 the market gets going, and just pop in and say hi to all the ladies and gents here that are making and producing local foods, drinks, cakes, preserves. There's crafts and textiles, like I say, so just come on in and see what's going on. And if anything, it's a lovely coffee shop before you get back into Knoll or somewhere like that. So just come on in. It's a lovely place. See ya.